straight out of Virginia, man, Chamarri Connor, defensive back, who is like a safety, nickel type, kind of play all over the field. And I will say one thing I love about the Virginia Tech DBs is we've had a pretty good history with DBs with Brandon Flowers, Kendall Fuller. Pretty much the list stops there. But hey, those are two solid names with for us. But what were your guys' thoughts on Chamarri Connor? Daniel Jeremiah, before the 6th round started, he said it was the best pick of the day. So, and I like Daniel Jeremiah, solid guy. He knows his stuff. So, what did you guys think about Chamarri Connor?
Well, I'll say this, Teja and Marcus. First of all, glad to be with you guys again. The Super Dash brothers, as I said last time. It's good to be here to talk to you guys because I know that you guys are going to give this a fair shake. I know that there's a lot of us that, whether it's fair or unfair, will naturally be negative or overly positive on whatever draft pick there is. I think that we like to keep it very much down the middle. And the cool thing for us,
we're all speculating at this point. So
it's all crapshooting, man, for sure. And that's the thing is that we were talking about it. The beautiful thing about our show this week at the Spoken Podcast was we got to discuss this in real time. And Chamarri Connor was the first pick that we saw today, obviously, while our show was going on. And so we did some deep diving as we were on the show. And what's crazy about this is that in my original mock-up, I had the Chiefs taking a defensive back at 134 overall. And I said the biggest reason why is because I think that the Chiefs need to look at adding depth for this year, but also for a contingency plan for next season because we don't know the long-term status of L'Jarius Sneed, given that this is his contract year, and we don't know if the Chiefs are going to sign him to a long-term deal or not. I mean, you would think, yes, you would, but the Chiefs have never been a franchise, especially in the Brett Veach era, that has been signing guys long-term at the cornerback position. So even Tyrann Mathieu and Justin Reed have come in on 2-3-year deals. So I was very curious about that, which is why I had the Chiefs going there. Well, the Chiefs, ironically, traded the 134th overall pick to go down to 119 and get that defensive back. Now, I don't know if Chamarri Connor is viewed as a long-term replacement for a L'Jarius Sneed by any means. I don't know that. But I have to consider all factors. I have to consider all scenarios in this because I think the Chiefs were very aggressive in this. I think that they saw something in Connor that they see as a franchise type of player. Now, whether he's going to start out, because the grade, I think his grade was as a 6, which is like a high-end backup / like 4-phase special teamer. But that's almost the exact same grade that L'Jarius Sneed had. Now, they might have different skill sets in the fact that Sneed's a little bit of a quicker player, and he didn't have as much good tackling as Connor did coming into the draft. But you've seen the evolution of what L'Jarius Sneed was. He was started out as a safety, played a little slot corner in college, but ended up becoming essentially a slot corner. And he's been able to be a very versatile jack-of-all-trades player. That's exactly what Connor looks to be from Virginia Tech. He looks like a guy that they were just sprinkling all over the field and was a guy that I think led the team in sacks in 2019. So the Chiefs got themselves a overly versatile player, and I think that is exactly what Spags wants in his secondary, and that is exactly the MO of what Brett Veach has done in the mid to late rounds when he gets that day 3 defensive back as a guy that can play all over the field. So for me, I don't really see the negatives in this. I don't see it at all. This guy was I believe, a captain twice on his team. A very smart individual, and we know that when the Chiefs draft defensive players, they're looking for guys that are intellectuals. I think that Chamarri Connor is that guy. I'm gonna hone my expectations down as far as what he's going to be in 2023, but it's really hard for me not to get excited about what this guy's going to be in 2024 and 2025. So I like this pick. I guess if I want to give a letter grade, just based upon, like I said, that I think this guy's a 2024 and 2025 pick, I'm going to give this like a solid B. I think that this is a good, versatile pick, and I like what Brett Veach did here.
Teja, your thoughts?
Very well said. First, let me say about this day in general. I love that we traded up for guys that we liked. I really, really, in general, Veach sees the kind of player he needs, goes to get it. That looks like that's his thing for this year. So, not giving up a lot. We traded next year's 5th, but we got it back in another deal, so no harm done. As far as Chamarri specifically, DB in general didn't really surprise me. I think we talked about it on the first night. I thought we were going to go DB top 4 rounds pretty early. Like we've talked about. I think we talked about this yesterday. You weren't on the show. I mentioned how Reed is our 5th highest cap number in 2023. So DB does not surprise me at all. Basically, I mean, Edwards is a 1-year deal. Cook's young. But if you notice, Cook last year mostly saw him as special teams, but you just kept seeing his number more and more at defensive snaps. You're like, dude, he's out there all the time now, right? So we know they just need a lot of guys out there. We lost Thornhill. Edwards is a good replacement, but you don't know what's going to happen to Sneed. Can we afford to pay Sneed a lot of money with Reed's number and what it is? As far as Chamarri, the player, off the bat, special teams ace is what I read. So he'll be on the floor. He'll be on the field immediately, just doing that at least.
Right.
Versatile experience. He played slot nickel, I think, 2 years ago, and then played safety all last year, box and deep. Great ball skills, great leader on defense. You touched upon that. Best at mirroring underneath routes. Lineups can line up on tight ends. Very physical receivers. The knock was that he won't be able to do that with receivers in the NFL because he usually just like dominates them with his hands and kind of reroutes them. Can get a lot of penalties on himself too from being too handsy down the field. Can lose body control. Doesn't have top-notch speed and twitch. Willing tackler, likes to hit, takes poor angles, though they said, and does miss a lot of tackles because of it. So he played over 800 special team snaps. So at least to start, we'll see him on the field on special teams and then hopefully developing into more.
Yeah, the one thing I saw online earlier was that if you look at the comparison between between Connor and Sneed, they're built like the exact same, which I thought was interesting. And also, when you look at his tape and you just kind of look at the write-ups on him, I mean, I live in Virginia, but I don't watch a lot of Virginia Tech games. But look at these write-ups with him and seeing all these things about him. He's a Swiss Army knife on the field. And like you said, like the way Andy Reid likes O linemen to play every position, Spags likes his DBs to kind of go over the goddamn field, and that's kind of
versatile. Yeah,
very versatile guy. So I mean, let's say Sneed ever does go down during games like he did in the first drive of the Cincinnati game. You get a guy like that who can pretty much be the kind of the young version of him, and
man's version.
And if we don't want to pay Sneed next year, we got a guy who learned from Sneed for a year, and then you know what? He took over his role. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I'm just saying it's good to get a guy who's kind of a clone of what we already have in Sneed. So that's what I saw when we drafted him and did a little more research. I was like, oh man, really. At first, I was like, oh, it's we had UVA's Juan Thornhill, and now we got VT's Chamarri Connor taking over the UVA guy. But actually, no, he looks more prototypical of a Sneed type guy to kind of take over that. That's kind of what it stood out to me. And we talked about on the show that we have to with the guy high price ticketed guys that we have to think about the future. We have to think about getting guys in who can lessen the cap hit when Sneed goes and he wants to get the big bang for the buck. That could be it.
And Marcus, let me say something to that as well, because I had posted about this, and I actually a couple months ago was talking about the entertaining the thoughts of moving off of players a little early, and this is something that Chiefs fans have to understand is going to become more and more of a reality as long as Patrick Mahomes is the Chiefs quarterback and he's still as great as he is, or at least as close to as great as he is that the Chiefs are only going to be loyal to one thing in the grand scheme of things. It's winning. Like the mentality has changed from what we grew up in, where, you keep players because you love them and they sell tickets or fans love them and things of that nature. That loyalty is starting to quickly go out the window because you've seen the way the Chiefs have already been handling business. It's stiff and it's cold, man. They're handling this as we're trying to win Super Bowls every single season because it's a reality of ours for the first time in decades. And when I made this thing, I made a comment about how L'Jarius Sneed could be a trade asset going into this draft. Willie Gay could be a trade asset going into this draft because those are guys that both could bring you back some decent value, but are also guys that are probably going to get paid in this next year or two. So I don't know if the Chiefs look at those guys as long-term answers, especially when you consider the fact that at those positions, Brett Veach has been able to adequately replace players at those positions, and the team hasn't had any real drop-off. So as much as I love these guys and I want them on the team, we know that this isn't Madden. We know that this isn't a game where you don't have a salary cap and you can just re-sign everybody you want. So I was entertaining that thought before the draft ever happened. Now that I'm here with these pieces in place, where we can talk about in a minute about the Chiefs drafting multiple guys at edge and linebackers and things of that nature, I think that it's more relevant now with the safeties that they're also bringing in, that there are going to be guys that we love that are on rookie deals right now that won't be here on extensions. And we have to live with that and accept that and realize that Brett Veach is better at his job than L'Jarius Sneed is. That's not a shot at L'Jarius Sneed. That's praise for what Brett Veach is as a general manager. He's proven it time and time again that he can adequately replace guys at a much cheaper, much younger level. And then when we get into the season, we almost not forget about those players that used to be here, but we live with it. We're accepting it more and more because of the fact that he nailed it. And I think that's what's going to happen as time goes on.
Yeah. JD always talks about the aspect of younger and cheaper is the name of the game. If NFL teams think they can go get a guy who can adequately replace your production, maybe not the full production, but if he's younger and he's cheaper, they're going to do it, and they're going to find ways to do that. So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of the name of the game for guys like Brett Veach and other GMs around the league.
Mahomes, Jones, and Tooney take up 40% of our cap next year.
Wow.
And imagine if Travis Kelce was greedy.
I know. Imagine when Juwan Taylor's money kicks in.
Yeah.
That's his 1 year like discount-ish type number right there. After that, it balloons. So
yep.
That's why I was surprised. I'm surprised now we didn't get a guard. Just to plan for the future.
I wanted Andrew Jason Voorhees, dude. He was there. The Ravens traded back in the 7th round to get him. I was like,
yeah.
Could you imagine? Because they say, although his doctor wrote that whole thing, I mean, he's not going to play this year. That's
you shouldn't. You shouldn't play.
We don't need that. But like,
yeah.
Could you imagine just resting him for a year and you have your guard? And if we did want to cut our losses with the Thuney's deal, I mean, if those three guys 40% of the cap next year, man, we're gonna have to play some ballet with our salaries next year.
Yeah. Or make a hard decision with some of our guys. Yeah.
I guess it's a good thing the Chiefs have Brent Tillis running the cap structure of everything, because he's been the guy that's making things work in that regard, because Brett Veach doesn't really have to stress on it when you have a human calculator like Brent Tillis.
Yeah. What happened to your lighting, Teja? What the heck?
Yeah, it went down for a second.
Jeez.
Oh, we got to see that face, man. What the hell?
I'll be back, baby. Don't you worry about me. I'll be back like Voorhees, dude. Don't you worry. Jason and Andrew.
Yeah. So Teja, Lance gave a B on Chamarri Conner. Last word here. What was your grade on Chamarri Conner?
I'd go a B as well, just because more than just the actual player himself, because you don't know how they're going to turn out in our defense or our team or anything. But just finding he seems like a perfect scheme guy for what we need. He seems like a clone of someone we already have, and it was a position we needed. So I would just give it a B just off that alone. The value seemed about right around there. I saw a lot of people putting him like the 6th or 7th round, some 5th, 6th, 7th. But, Jeremiah loved him. Again, like they wanted him. I cannot argue with the Chiefs scouting department and DVs right now. So,
yeah.
After
last year, I don't think anyone should and anyone can.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out the best clips from Chief Concerns. And if you prefer to listen to the show, subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.